Welcome, everybody. My name is Colton from Zimtu Capital. Today we have President and CEO of Core Assets, Nick Rodway here. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to see you again.
So the last news you came out with some backpack drilling results. We did have a couple questions come in regarding those. So maybe we could just get into a few of those questions. Now, people were wondering about the grades of the results in the backpack drilling program compared to the grab samples. Maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's been a pretty busy week here and exciting because we've been kind of working on that news now for a while, and it took a long time for those samples to come back. And, the whole idea of the backpack drilling was to target some areas that were easily accessible, very level land, because, the main thing to understand about the backpack drill is, what type of backpack drill is it? Because there's a bunch of different types out there, and I wasn't actually aware of that a couple months ago. But the backpack drill that we are using is like the smallest one you can get, right? It's basically an ice auger engine or something you'd use on a weed whacker, whippersnipper type thing in your backyard. Not very powerful.
No.
Core size is like about 2.5 centimeters, very small core size, so hard to get recoverability of any soft materials. And it's very, very labor intensive to use this thing, especially if you're on your own. It was the first time I was really ever used it before in my day, and it took a little while to get used to it. But the water is the key with these things in order to drill efficiently. But drilling a skarn type material compared to a soft galena or a quartz, big time different technique to use in all those different scenarios. Mm-hmm. The only areas that we actually drilled were the low hanging skarn areas. So not the carbonate replacement stuff. Now, we did attempt one hole at the Jackie showing, which is a carbonate replacement mineralization surface, and that was one of the areas that yielded us our highest silver, and it's mainly hosted in a mineral called hessite, which is tied up in our galena. So we did try a hole there. Now, the backpack drill can only go down to 3 meters, right, and that's a maximum. Like, if you can hit 3 meters, that means you are doing well. Yeah. So we, pulverized right down through this soft galena, very, very it's less than 3 on a hardness scale for those of viewers that are up with the Mohs hardness scale. Mm-hmm. But we got no recovery from that. But what we saw was continuous, silver bearing and lead bearing sulfide all the way through that whole 3 meters. Right. And again, our model is that these things are continuous back to the source. So we at least know at Jackie there's 3 meters of sulfide, but fortunately we couldn't recover it. But over on the Sulfide City area, we did drill the whaleback. So to answer your question, all of our whaleback drilling holes, which were the whole 5, all 5 holes, they all reported the exact same numbers as in our grab samples and confirmed our channel samples. So now not only do we have up to 5 meters width there at surface of continuous grade, high grade zinc, we also have 3 meters depth at the whaleback showing as well. So I mean, everything is just looking perfect. But
yeah, and there was a question on the 3 meter limitation of the backpack drill regarding manto size, but I guess you don't even drill the manto in this case.
No, we didn't. I mean, like the manto is the grizzly manto, if that's the one you're speaking about. That one is probably about 300 meters from where we were, and it's on a little bit of a slope. Mm-hmm. And with these drills, if you're not doing a 90-degree hole, it makes it even harder again, right? So, and again, the water is the issue. You're filling up these little buckets of water that are portable, and then you have to pump the water as you're drilling yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So you got one hand on the drill, one hand on the pump, and every 5 minutes you got to go fill up your water again. So it's just like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work going up and down. So we didn't even try to drill the grizzly manto, which was the one that returned us those 9% over 500 meters of strike length, and I think we'll show it an image of it here.
Yeah, we can show, because there is quite a bit of a difference. You'll see the location difference between the two. I'm looking at it now, and it's quite big. So yeah, carrying water up there and doing that is
crazy. I would have loved to have done it, but I mean, even 3 meters doesn't really do you a whole lot of justice up there, because it's thicker than that. Obviously, even at surface, which is crazy. Yeah. But one of the things I did today is I brought 2 examples again, like last time, a couple of rocks. I just wanted to kind of put everything in like more of a big picture view for you and how things come together. But what I brought here, the closest one to you, is from the Grizzly Manto.
Right. So this big one here.
Yeah, that's from the Grizzly Manto. So I'm going to show you some big time differences in the rocks that we're dealing with. This is a piece of representative core that was taken next to a drill hole that we did at Whaleback.
Right.
You can
And this, and you can see, this is the limitation in the width here. Obviously, it's not super long, but good solid piece here. 25
millimeter width and for scarn. You get very good recoverability with this drill, so that's actually impressive. But the cool thing, I mean, visually, obviously, these things look different. One of them is a lot jet black, and one of them is kind of, it looks like it might have some white in it a little bit, and some more, it's calcilicate minerals. But what I brought is a magnet. And what I wanted you to do is I wanted you to just test on each of those if you see a difference in the magnetivity of each.
Yeah, so not a lot on the first one. There's a tiny pull, but really not much. Now that one you can see quite a bit different. I can pull it, and that magnet. Yeah, I mean that.
So
speaks for itself there. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean the whole point here, significance of what we just did here, brings us to our geophysics, which is our next pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And it's the most exciting piece of the puzzle. And generally what you're looking at here is, if we were to look at this on a plan view map, and it's going to be, in colors, red being the hottest or the most magnetic and blue being the least, the Grizzly Manto shows up as being obviously a magnetic low.
Right.
And now we have a layer and a rock in front of us that we know what that assay, we know that was 35% zinc, and it had about 300 grams per ton silver, and it also had a 0.5% copper, and it also had about 1% lead, right? But obviously not as much magnetite in it, so not as much iron. Now our scarn shows up like a sore thumb, and it shows up in a tabular body, which is what you would expect, elongate tabular body for a scarn, very typical. So we can see that the scarn goes on for 400 meters, and we can see that surface for 300 meters.
And you're seeing that through
We're seeing that through magnetic data through our high resolution geophysics. So the goal here in the next, say, I guess 6 weeks, is we're going to put together the geophysics of our findings from both the Labrador area, which was we didn't do any work on that really this summer, and then we're going to put another release out on the 2021 Discovery Zone, which includes your Jackie, your Sulphide City, and your Grizzly area. And again, we'll show a cross section of where these things are labeled. But the cool thing about all of these things is that they're at surface, which is pretty abnormal for these types of deposits, especially in this day and age, right? To be able to walk upon something, this predominant at surface.
And we can show the Grizzly target Manto on screen as well, because I'm looking at it here, and it's such a large kind of showing just right at surface. I mean, you see the sky right at the rock, and then there's just massive discoloration there from what I see.
No, it's visually, it's distinct once you train your eye for it. And again, it's just again building more layers. And then now that we can see our geophysics and we can actually have these rocks and we have them, we can touch them and test them in different ways, like this magnetic little experiment that we did. That's how you get reference to what could be beneath the ground. And then with this geophysics, we also get depth slices. So depth slices basically shows us where the highest magnetivity is, or conductivity or resistivity is with regards to depth, and it can see down to about 600 meters accurately. So that kind of information will be what we're going to be putting out here soon.
And the magnetivity that you're seeing is kind of in line with what you would expect in a CRD system.
Yeah, for sure. So in a Manto, a typical Manto in a CRD system, you're expected to see a high iron sphalerite. So sphalerite is your zinc bearing mineral, and generally very low conductance on that, but sometimes you'll get a lot of magnetivity with these.
And that would be this rock.
That's correct. But if it's a lot of zinc, if you got over 35% zinc, obviously it's going to be a lot less magnetivity because there's less room for the iron. And then in your scarn, of course, they're very typically known to be very magnetic, and there's a bunch of different genres, but the significance of this one is it's a zinc copper bearing scarn, and this is the kind of the peripheral generally in our model of the porphyry system. So what we drilled with the hand drill is more on the porphyry side of the story, which could be closer to the porphyry source. So that's the exciting thing about that, but not, it's not directly related to the carbonate replacement side of things. Right? That's more of the stuff in the limestone and the mantos and the chimneys.
Yeah.
And but this stuff is your typical calc-silicate zinc skarn.
Yeah, okay. And we can kind of hear the excitement in your voice when you're talking about these things. I think some check marks are just being, things are making sense, it sounds like.
It is coming together like great.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. And again, just to be able to have the rock in front of you and look on the map and see that things match up, and just to get your mind wrapped around that goes a long way. Because again, colors on maps don't mean anything unless you have some sort of reference, right?
Yeah,
right now,
absolutely.
Things are, looking pretty bright on the map, and they're matching up, and they make sense. And it's practical stuff, right?
Yeah.
Practical.
Yeah, and I think in your presentation you go through the check marks and what you'd like to see in a system like this, and I think it seems to be that you're checking those boxes. Is there anything else you wanted to update on regarding this? I know there's going to be a lot more to come, obviously. But anything else for today?
No, I mean, just reiterate, it's going to be a busy couple months here leading up to, the mobilization of our team and drills and whatnot. But this geophysics, as we look more into this, that's going to be the real eye-opening stuff here for looking at size.
And do we know when the drill teams are going up there roughly again?
I'm actually going up next week personally. There's a job fair in town, so I'm going to be taking
in Atlan.
In Atlan,
Wow.
So I'm leaving Thursday of next week. I'll be up there for the weekend, and then after that, of course, I'll be back, and then we'll be continuing to plan for this drill season. And that's basically our plan here for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds like there's a bunch of news coming, and it'll be pretty predictable, and it's just going to be going throughout the full summer. So we're excited for that. Thanks for coming on, Nick.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.